And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. Now, we're getting to a completely different lineage. We're now going into Ham, and we have not gotten the entire lineage of Ham finished yet. He kind of gives us a little bit of information about someone called Nimrod. Now, that's usually not a positive thing. You can call someone a Nimrod, you kind of call him an idiot or a fool or whatever. But Nimrod, according to the Bible, is considered mighty. What does that mean? It just means that he's a very strong, powerful individual. Okay, that's what it means by the fact that he's mighty. It does not mean he's good or bad. It's just simply denoting his attributes as the fact that he's strong, that he's powerful. Okay, that could be good, or he could be good or bad. However, we understand, being of the lineage of Ham, he's not good. Okay, the descendants of Ham are very wicked. They're very evil. And Nimrod is actually a foreshadowing of something as well. Just like the Gentiles and what we had in Genesis chapter 9 is a foreshadowing of them getting saved, Ham is a picture, and Nimrod here is a picture of the Antichrist. Okay? Now, let me give you a few things to think about here. It says that the beginning of his kingdom was what? Was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. Okay? Now, Shinar is the location of this place. Look at Genesis chapter number 11 for a moment. And look at verse number 1. The Bible says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar. And they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they made brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad from upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Now, I'll be covering Genesis chapter 11 in the future, but I want to point out a few things here. First of all, the location is very interesting when we consider the foreshadowing that's going on here. It says that it's Babel. Now, there is a future location that's called Babylon in the Bible, where Nebuchadnezzar is dwelling. Go, if you would, to Daniel chapter number 1. Go to Daniel chapter number 1. And Babylon in the Bible is a picture of a future coming kingdom that's going to be extremely wicked and evil. It's of the devil, and it's called Babylon, you know, the great. It's the mystery Babylon. It's the whore, okay? Well, there was a literal Babylon. Babylon was a literal city, and we kind of have the foreshadowing here with Babel, okay? And it said that it was in the land of Shinar. Now look at Daniel chapter number 1. Look at verse number 1. And the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God. Notice this, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God, and he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. So notice, where they built the Tower of Babel is in the land of Shinar. Notice when they have Babylon, where are they at? They're in the land of Shinar again. That's not a coincidence that you have this exact same location. You have the same formation of the name. And in fact, I believe in Hebrew, Babylon is literally B-A-B-E-L. It's Babel, okay? So we have that same root word. We have that same foundation. Now let's think about some of the aspects of this, right? We don't think just about the location, but we think about Babylon. Babylon is where everyone was gathered together in a sense, because Nebuchadnezzar went and defeated every single kingdom, and he brought of the best of every single nation unto himself. And you kind of have this culmination of all different nations all gathered together in Babylon. Now, if you think about the story of Daniel, eventually he creates a false image, a false god, that every single province of every single nation all have to come and they all have to worship. And you kind of have this multi-gathering, multi-nation, everyone's gathered together worshiping this false image. And all these things are foreshadowing a bigger event, which is the Antichrist himself, which the Antichrist is going to have a similar clumping of people where it's going to be everybody. Go, if you would, to Revelation chapter 17. Go, if you would, to Revelation chapter 17. Let me show you how it's similar when we have Mystery of the Babylon in the future, and we have the Antichrist, and we have everything that's being set up here. Now, Revelation chapter 17 is a chapter of the Bible that's really giving us a lot of information specifically about this spiritual Babylon. And he's going to talk a lot about it. Look at chapter 17, verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So we have a Babylon described here. And this is more of a spiritual picture of locations that have existed throughout time. And in some places, they're the same, because we have the land of Shinar here in the Tower of Babel. We have the Babylon in the same land of Shinar. But throughout history, you know, as you study this, it's very clear that Babylon could potentially be in different locations. And it's really just the essence of the fact that it's a culmination of all nations. It's the picture of all authority and power on the earth at one time, where there's basically everybody's gathered together. You have a particular person in charge. You have Nebuchadnezzar. You have Nimrod, okay? And in the future, you're going to have the Antichrist as a singular power of authority, a singular power of head. And Babylon is going to be a part of this. Now, what is Babylon? Look at verse 15. He says this, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, because the Bible talks about Babylon being on many waters. He says, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So again, we have a culmination of everybody. So in the Tower of Babel, it's everybody. At Babylon with Nebuchadnezzar, it's everybody. We have in the future, it's everybody. So we have these same kind of elements shaping and forming. Let's look at another verse here. When we think about the Antichrist, when we think about these foreshadowing and all these events that are going to happen, Revelation 13, look at verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So in the future, the coming future Babylon with the beast who is in charge of everything that's going on, he is literally going to have power over the entire earth. Nebuchadnezzar had power over the entire earth. Nimrod, you have to understand, he is mighty in the sense that he is at the culmination of power. He's over everyone. Everyone's gathered together. Everyone's in the same area, and Nimrod is exerting that power, having that authority. And you know what? God doesn't want for all the power and authority of man to be culminated in a singular leader. All of this is foreshadowing the Antichrist. And every time you have it, he tries to break it up and divide people again because he doesn't want that power to exist. The only time it's going to exist and work well is when Christ is at the helm of that, who's the king. Now, we've kind of talked about a few things. The location. We talked about how everyone's kind of gathered together. Look at Revelation chapter 6 now. Here's another foreshadowing aspect of Nimrod, is the sense that Nimrod is considered a mighty hunter. Okay? Look at Revelation chapter 6, verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, I believe, in studying this is most likely the Antichrist that we're looking at, someone who's going for it. And notice he has a bow. Now, when we think of a hunter, what do we kind of picture? Some guy with a bow going out and fighting, hunting, and doing these things. And notice he's going to conquer and to conquer. Look, Nimrod is a mighty hunter, okay? Meaning he's very good at war. He's very good at fighting or whatever. And we have that same picture of an Antichrist where there's going to be someone who's very strong, very powerful, gathering everyone together, okay? And they're going to have this, one world government. It's going to happen.